Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening. It is a beautiful June 29th, 2020, episode 137, the Crusty Canuck podcast, The Burning, Part 2, Catherine McKenna's excellent departure in Canadian politics, and other political dogmas coming up right here in the podcast. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Mama said I was at a face for radio. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, too much cigarettes. Yes, welcome to episode 137 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And yes, I call this The Burning Part 2. Why? Well, let me see. Last episode, we had a lot of issues when it came to understanding what's going on with the First Nations, our money, political structure, C10, C36, and all that other good stuff, and other political jumble farts. They're calling us shots every day. Now, The Burning Part 2 is just a continuation of that because I've had some emails recently. I've had some people weigh in on my profile on Facebook and other means, more or less doing the finger wagging and pointing fingers at me and all this good stuff. And I'll get to that later. But also now in recent news, Miss Catherine McKenna is now leaving politics as we speak. She's not seeking re-election. She is focusing more time on her family and all that good stuff because, you know, she's married and has kids and she's quite the successful human being when it comes to politics and her education. And okay, you know, whatever. I'm not dissing her qualifications as in what she was trained in, but as a Canadian taxpayer, as a veteran, and as someone who likes to be a realist, we all know, ladies and gentlemen, that she was full of shit. Right from the time that she was appointed as the environment minister to her appointment as infrastructure minister, and now ever so conveniently leaving politics, not seeking re-election. Now, we all know the term that she was called Climate Barbie the Builder, how much she didn't like being called Barbie and Barbie the Builder, and how sexist and misogynist it was because of all the comments people gave her and the lackluster oppression that she had to face as a female politician in today's society and in Canada. Well, I got news for you. You're not oppressed, okay? You got a pretty good job, a pretty good paycheck, and the power to do things. Now, you also been quoted saying that oil workers tend to be a little bit dangerous. You also said Alberta oil was filthy and disgusting, right? And you did your part to try to get rid of it. And you're a firm believer in the carbon tax. So you're an individual that believes in more taxation without representation. You didn't take responsibility for the decisions you made and the comments you made in regards to the oil workers out here in the province. Okay? And you're the first one to sit there and scream sexism and misogyny when someone would question your integrity or your credibility. Now, I agree with the fact that it's not right for someone to spray paint a dirty name on anyone's office. Doesn't matter if you use the D word, the C word, B word, T word, whatever word comes to mind. Okay. But to sit there and call people sexist and misogynist because of it, how do you know it was a dude that did it to begin with? Okay. How do you know that it was a man that said, see you next Tuesday on your office when you were reelected this past October 2019? Okay. How do you know? How do you know? You don't. Okay. Now, if you guys hear some background noise in the background, I got a fan going in here because it's a real scorcher here in beautiful Alberta. It's about 35 Celsius, you know, and that's hot for us. That's hot for us Canucks. I don't know about you lot down in Arizona and in California, but that's pretty hot, nasty weather for us Canucks up here. Needless to say, hydrate as best you can, folks. Water your plants just briefly. Don't water them too hard because the heat and the evaporation will burn the leaves. But just keep that in mind. But anyways, I was saying, before I digress even further, now Miss McKenna is leaving politics. Okay. I would say good riddance because I found her platform and I found her stand on things very, very disturbing. You know, we've all seen the video, the footage that she had when she was with the cast of This Hour is 22 Minutes, saying one of the things she learned in Parliament is that when you stomp and scream loud enough, people will believe you. Okay. Well, she obviously didn't learn any principles of leadership, and she didn't learn any kind of etiquette when it comes to representing her people. Now, I guess her riding is Ottawa Center. So, of course, they're all part of that big triangle, the Laurentian Triangle, Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, looking after people in that area. Business interests and investors alike, elitists in that area, of course. And I personally don't care what her background is or what her education is. I just found her very disingenuous and very dishonest, because there's also the sound of about $35 billion that were set aside for infrastructure projects that never fucking happened, right? So in a way, I guess she played us very, very well. She's not seeking re-election because she wants to focus on her family. So therefore, if they do call an election in August, okay, and get everything all ready to go for the Liberal brand and the NDP brand and the Conservative brand, she doesn't have to attest or justify anything at all. How convenient, right? How convenient. Now, according to Rebel Media and Blacklock's reporters, now Blacklock's is a paid subscription. You got to pay to get into it. But Rebel has an account with them. And I look at some of the Rebel doctrines, and they base a lot of their stories on their own information and what they get from Blacklock's too. And I actually had a conversation with a gentleman from Blacklock's in regards to getting a subscription and all that. And they're pretty informative bunch of individuals. So you can believe what you want, but according to the Infrastructure Bank that was put together in 2017, 35 billion Canadian was not accounted for. Well, it was accounted for, but there were no projects built with that $35 billion. So where'd it go? My best guess, it went to China or other interests, because there were roads and operations that were made in China from Canadian dollars. There were roads and opportunities built in Syria for Canadian dollars. But what was built here? Were there shipyards built here? Were there water sewage plants built here? No, because the Liberals and everybody else that's backing them up said it was okay to dump more raw sewage into the waterways. Now, I've had a couple of people weigh in and tell me, well, where else they're going to put it? Well, do you put your own raw sewage in your waterway? No, we have plants for that. We have, operations that look after that. And as far as I know, there's formulas out there that can turn our raw sewage into fuel. Ooh, what a novel idea. So there's one for the environment right there too. So when people make such a big stink about Miss McKenna leaving politics and what a wonderful job she did, right? There's a tweet there that Patty Haydu put out, and I'll put it up there later in the show. But I know I'll let you later as my fans and listeners and watchers alike decide for yourselves exactly what the issue is. I just I'm just shaking my head because everything I have read and what I've seen on the mainstream media in regards to her leaving politics, they make it sound like she turned water into wine or something. And she sits there and says, I believe girls can do anything they want to do and encourage more women to get into politics. And rightfully so. I encourage all people of all colors and creeds, gender spectrums and parts thereof to pursue a political career if they want to. Okay. And she was also one of the first females that were elected in 2015 to constantly pull the sexism card, to constantly pull the oppression card. And how dare you say this and how dare you say that? And yet still never took responsibility for the shit she did or said.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And furthermore, okay, if someone was going to spray paint anything dirty on my door, one, someone didn't like me, or two, I might have done something really, really effing stupid to deserve that. Okay. Now, it's wrong to call people by names, dirty names. I get it. We were all told this when we were children. Okay. But if you're in the public eye and you're given a responsibility to look after a lot of money and you're given a responsibility to build things, to do things that's supposed to promote the betterment of the Canadian citizen, and you don't do it, what do you expect to be told? What do you expect to hear? Do you expect some kind of parade? Do you expect some kind of here's a ribbon, here's a trophy for your efforts? Oh, you're a woman, therefore that's okay, no problem. No, of course not. You got to be accountable, right? You are accountable for your actions. It doesn't matter what title you hold. Doesn't matter if you're a professor. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor or a lawyer. Doesn't matter if you're a shop foreman or correct for person. People kind. It doesn't matter. Okay? If you're given the responsibility to do something and you're handed $10,000 to do it, you got to do it. If you're in charge of running a business, you got to do it. If you're in charge of looking after the welfare of 5 of your coworkers or 10 coworkers or 10 people under you or 10,000 people under you, you are responsible. Okay? So regardless of how many slaps and tickles you had behind or how many arrangements you made, on set or on camera or off camera, it doesn't matter. You're still responsible. So it's no big loss that you're stepping down, Miss McKenna. I could care less. And I think the majority of Western Canadians can care less too, because you lied about the environment. You categorized oil workers as aggressive rapists. Okay. You sit there and you say you're talking about the welfare of women in this country, yet you never stood up for the women that are struggling to get ahead. You don't struggle. You don't stand up for widows. Did you stand up for the women that lost their husbands in Afghanistan? How about those women? How about the women that had to go through hoop after hoop after hoop of red tape when they lost their husbands? How about that? Did you stand up for those women too? Right? But no. You got to categorize men and women into a certain group for the sake of your narrative. So like I say again, it's no big loss that you're leaving politics, because I found you very disingenuous, dishonest, and really just full of shit, right? Claiming the victim card because someone said cunt to you or spray painted the word cunt on your door. Maybe you're being one, right? A lot of Canadians will call it like they see it. They will say it like they see it. Okay? And sitting there coming across as a victim, someone who's been well educated, so you say, so what your Wikipedia page says, someone has all this knowledge and background in the environment, and yet you cannot understand the basic environment of your own country. Okay? You forget what fuels the planes that gave you the notoriety to travel around the country to dictate to the rest of us peasants what to do. Okay? What gave you the opportunity to go to school to better yourself? What gave you the opportunity, other than your family fortune, your ability maybe to swim, because we know you're an athlete? Great. Now, were you given education based on your athleticism? Did you earn it the old-fashioned way, getting the marks and meriting, right? We also know, too, you're handed a position. And what did you do with that position? Missing money, lying about the environment, disenfranchising a group of notable workers in this country. For what? For your own virtue, to look better, right? So good riddance on you, Miss McKenna. No one really cares, to be honest with you. No one cares. And it's not sexist to say so. It's not sexist to tell you off. That's part of being an adult. That's part of being in the public eye. That's part of being a leader.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And don't forget, too, ladies and gentlemen, to join me for the Sunday Fastball right here on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch every other Sunday. We have our little panel, myself, Adam Danny Mezei, Fred Stockman, possibly Jilly Davis. Chris Semchuk's not with us anymore because of his other engagements. However, we have a panel of about 3 or 4 of us. We sit and dissect Canadian politics, national politics, social politics, all that good stuff in one big happy little ensemble. So please join us this 4th of July. To my American friends, I know it's your Independence weekend. Enjoy yourselves, but if you want to come out to the show and say hello, please do. 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, respectively. Feel free to ask us anything you'd like to know about our take on this, our take on that, all that good stuff. So carrying on, Ottawa is burning. The Burning Part 2. I've received a lot of emails recently. Now, I don't believe in doxing. I don't believe in exposing people for their opinions. But I tell you, it's getting to a point. Some of the emails I've been receiving from some people are pretty fucking nasty. There's disagreements. That's fine. I tolerate that too. But again, I had a couple more emails saying that I got to recognize my privilege yet again. And I'm a white person and I can't speak out against this. I should know my place. What else? This is off the top of my head here. But those individuals that are watching right now, and you're just cringing at the fact that I'm looking into a camera and looking right at you. Okay, go fuck your hats. You're entitled to your opinion? Yes. You are entitled to your opinion, and do it well. Do the best of your ability. That's what we have here. But if you're going to sit here and keep finger pointing and blaming me for what happened 100 years ago, you're no better than the tyrants of 100 years ago. You see what I'm getting at? Okay. You see what I'm getting at here? So you can sit there all you want and tell me how this works and how that works. But there's an essay here that came from a friend of mine that's on Facebook. And I'll read it for you here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. It was a very, very well put together common sense essay. And I asked his permission if I could use it. I didn't get a response back yet. So you know who you are, sir. My apologies. I'll beg for forgiveness later. But this essay was just too bloody good not to share. And I'm going to share it with you all here. Okay? So pay attention carefully if you can, if I get my page up and running here. We're going to read it word for word as he wrote it. And just an incredible, just a beautiful little essay. And I'll share it with you here. Hang tight, ladies and gentlemen. Please talk amongst yourselves. You know, but no, I read this and I was just, get you right here. And I'm serious. It hit me pretty good. Here we go. Okay. I'll read this here for you. Alrighty. Now, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't have his permission, but I'll read this anyway. There are times when people are speaking in general terms. That's the wrong message. That the wrong message is sent. We hear Justin Trudeau speak about Canada being a racist country. He would be right if he said there are racist people living in Canada. Even more accurate if he said there are bigots and hateful people in all walks of life. There are also people who suggest that all gun owners and Muslims are terrorists. All politicians are liars and all lawyers are crooked. But we know that is not true. Okay? And lately, we've had people suggest that all Catholic nuns, deacons, priests, and bishops took part in the abuse of my ancestors. That is not true either. Someone has to stand up for the vulnerable, ordained brothers and sisters who focused on the betterment of mankind. There were 130 residential schools across Canada, and there were at least a dozen more boarding schools. Many of the boarding schools were called that because they were residential homes of Métis or Inuit students. Some were even homes to elite children. I can recall having a nun pound me on the back of the head while holding her red pencil tightly in her fist. That really hurt. And I remember one or two of the bishops having me place my hand palm up on his desk so he could smack my hand with his yardstick or that leather strap. But I also remember that there were some pretty nice nuns. There were good deacons, and I also remember some of the nice sisters who would smile at us. Why is it important for us to speak about the ones who treated us fairly? Because it's the truth. For me to suggest that all Catholics are bad is every bit as harmful as someone suggesting that every Catholic hated us Indigenous people. It simply isn't so. Forming a biased opinion about an individual because they have a certain race or religion or gender is what causes the divisiveness that Canada is experiencing right now. We can't do that to each other. I personally know a very nice lady who had racist grandparents, but she is pure of heart, and I would never blame her for what her ancestors did to my ancestors. I don't want to sound like Justin Trudeau. I don't want people to think that all Canadians are racist, and I certainly don't want people to judge our Christian friends because a few of them lacked judgment many years ago. Like gun owners, I would suggest that there are significantly more good Christians than there are bad ones. Canada Day is coming up soon, and I plan to smile and say Happy Canada Day to many as Canadians as I can. I want to do my part to exhibit the real Canadian spirit, not the one that the mainstream media and the Trudeaus are trying to promote. I love you guys, as in I love my fellow Canadians. If I've ever made a post that sounded otherwise, I apologize to you for that. Have a wonderful Canada Day. You all deserve it. And I will say this gentleman is First Nations. I've had many talks with him, and he's very, very wise. He carries wisdom around as anyone should. I'm not going to mention his name because, I'd be impolite if I did. I don't want him getting harassed either, but he made a point, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good point when it comes to why should we judge the crimes of a few? Okay. Now, I agree. Not all Catholics are terrible. I know some great people that happen to be Catholic that are damn good human beings, right? And there's some people, Anglican, that I've met over the years that are damn good human beings. I've met Muslims that are good human beings, Jews, atheists, Sikhs, right? So when someone points fingers at me, again, and tells me to recognize my privilege, I will say this to you again. Recognize your fucking prejudice. Right? Go into your room. Clean out your room first. Go into your closet. Sort out your closet first. Sort out your marriage first. Sort out your dilemmas in your life first before you worry about mine. Okay? My life isn't perfect. I might have had some easier goes than some people, but like I said in my last episode, I've had to work for everything. Okay? Nothing was handed to me. Okay? When I was raised as a kid, yes, my parents put clothes in my back, put food in my belly. And they tried to make my Christmases and my sister's Christmases fan-fucking-tastic. They even tried to make my birthdays fantastic too. Okay? But people change. Certain things happen. Circumstances, divorces happen. Relationships break down. People break down. Okay? And to sit here and constantly blame one person or one group of people for the atrocities that have happened in the name of the residential schools is pretty disingenuous. There are a lot of people who have seen the papers, who've seen the documents, clergy and politicians alike. And it doesn't matter if they're a Catholic, Anglican, Presbyterian, United, Conservative, Liberal, NDP, or Independent. Okay? I've said this before. Let's bring into question and put the people on trial that knew something. Okay? And it doesn't matter who I'm pointing the finger at. It doesn't matter if it's liberal or conservative. Okay? And for anybody that has the audacity to call me a white supremacist, back it up. Prove it. Just because I have these flags behind me doesn't mean I represent white supremacy. It represents a part of my history. Just like Quebecers put their fleur-de-lis up. Just like Portuguese Canadians put the Portuguese flag up. Just like German Canadians put the old German flags up. Scottish Canadians put the old Scottish cross up. Irish Canadians put up their flags too. Right? It doesn't matter. What matters is that we get along as people and do what we have to do to make this country what it is. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of the history of this nation, she is still worth fighting for, folks. And I'll fight for it till my last breath.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yes, and that's right too, ladies and gentlemen. Remember too, she's a real scorcher out there. So people listening in the Alberta and BC interior area, please do not forget to hydrate. And if you're going to water your plants, water the base of the plant and make sure the roots get the nutrients too. Don't just throw water on it because this heat and humidity will damage your plants, especially if you're growing food. So keep that in mind. There's the gardening tip for the day, ladies and gentlemen. You heard from Crusty Canuck. Water the base of your plants. Anyhow, we're getting to the point of the episode where last episode, I didn't put up the polar vortex of bullshit. I was just too enraged. But this week, this week we do. This week, we will have the Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
The Canadian polar vortex of bullshit.
And of course, that's right. The polar vortex of bullshit will go to none other than one individual that I can think who really, really deserves it. I'm pretty sure this person has won it before. I just can't remember. I should write all this stuff down. But needless to say, this episode's winner of the Canadian polar vortex of bullshit will go to none other than wait for it, Miss Catherine McKenna. That's right. Like I read before in the episode, how she rambled on about sexism and misogyny, all this good stuff. And she was the first one to blame oil workers and give oil workers a hard time, saying that they're dangerous people and they're aggressive and they're a danger to women in the oil patch and all that good stuff. So well done, Miss McKenna, on winning your prize of
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Yes, well done, lady. Well done for your bullshit award. Anyway, carrying on again, too. The burning, part 2. So if they do call an election, then what? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Right? I've been talking with my other VCP candidates on getting cards and stuff done, all that stuff. And we're not promoting our party just yet, but stay posted my Facebook page with Crusty Canuck and my Facebook page on the Crowfoot Battle River riding and the Veterans Coalition Party too, ladies and gentlemen. Keep that in mind when it comes to the political spectrum as it might hit us today. There's an email there too. Look at the VCP page and decide for yourselves there, folks. Keep that in mind too when they start doing propaganda tidbits, radio ads and TV ads, when they start advertising the Liberals and the Conservatives, NDPs alike. But like my friend said in his essay too, it's not necessarily one party's fault. And I too personally know some good Catholic people, Anglicans, Christians alike, and they would never do anything as heinous as what the clergy did and what some politicians did back in the day, all in the name of Jesus Christ or the Lord or whatever God they believe in. Okay. So keep that in mind. You know, we're going to have open minds when we start promoting the open-mindedness. Okay. I was born here. My parents are born here. My grandparents are born here. I am no longer a colonial. My parents were never a colonial. Neither were my grandparents. Maybe my great-grandparents were. That's about it. You know? And regardless of history, regardless of what empire has come and gone, and I've had people say, we should just go back to basics and go live in the bush. Okay. Go live in the bush. Go live in the bush. You want to blame every European society for what terrible things have happened in North America? Fine, go live in the bush. Go sharpen a stick, craft your own bow and arrow, create your own spear, learn how to set traps, learn how to read the ground, learn how to track animals, learn what medicines are out there in the land, and then go live in the bush. Go right ahead. Okay? But people forget how many innovations and how many inventions that were created in North America, not just in the United States, but in Canada too. That made our lives easier. And I may say that for another episode about some of the great innovations that came from North America. But for now, we can see it as plain as day. Proof's in the pudding, folks. Okay? So the next time you bitch about how terrible Canada is and how racist it is, take a look in your wallet and be thankful for what you have. And take a look at the opportunities that have been bestowed on you, that have been laid at your feet. Thank you to our grandparents from the Great Depression and our parents from the Boomer generation. Now, you may beg to differ, saying that the boomers did all these terrible things. But I got news for you. It was the boomers that made it possible that there was all this equity laws and fairness, all right, and inclusion mandates. And in a way, that's backing fire too, okay? So think about that the next time you blame a boomer for your issues. I don't blame my parents for how my life turned out. Okay. There are some things that they could have done better. There's things I could have done better, but they're my parents and I love them. I miss my mother deeply. She passed away in 2016 due to the big C, cancer. Right. And that was a tough week for me. A lot of things I had to let go, a lot of things I had to forgive, but needless to say, you know, she did her best. And when I look at my father and the work and the stuff that he's accomplished, he did his best too. And I'm very, very thankful that I had parents to guide me into the right direction. And I've mentioned this before, ladies and gentlemen, but I had instructors in the military that gave me insight. And some of those instructors were foster kids. They didn't have a stable household. They didn't have that traditional upbringing. And some of those guys went through fucking absolute hell growing up, fighting for their right to have something to eat or to learn something, to read something, because the foster system is so imperfect. But those men became leaders. And I'm actually still in touch with a couple of those lads today too. So when people say it's hard to this, hard to that, yeah, well, there's a lot of people who have worse goes than other. And it has nothing to do with the color of one's skin. It has to do with the circumstances that they're in and the choices they make. And in a way, I guess I am lucky to have the choices that I have and see the repercussions of my actions. Not perfect. I made mistakes. And I'm still learning, just as you are too, ladies and gentlemen. But as I say, we have to get rid of this race baiting BS. We have to stop this garbage. We have to, enough of this crap. Enough of it. And start being genuine again. Let's celebrate Canada Day. Still, wave the flag. Regardless of the imperfections, we will find the truth. And I'm a firm believer in truth and reconciliation. But in the meantime, too, let's still watch each other's backs. Like I say, too, folks, if you like to hear what you see, please check me out on Supercast as well. Censorship free, $5 a month. Get you all of my audio episodes of the Crusty Canuck podcast, censorship free. Please consider joining Supercast today. And check out the Veterans Coalition Party, too, if you can. Links will be in my description as well. You can click on it, ask me any questions you want, send me an email. Right? You can find me at crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. And a special shout out there, too, to everyone else who has weighed in this week and give me some really, really warm points of encouragement, saying thank you, Crusty, for your service and all the good stuff. And I like to say you're welcome. Thank you for the kind gestures in regards to helping me with soundboards and different sound effects and all that too. I'll take that consideration. You know who you are, Mr. Frogman, who who asked me where I got my sound effects from and all that good stuff. But needless to say, thank you for the kind words of encouragement. And I want to thank the people that sent me the hate mail too. Keep promoting it. Okay. Because it will bite you in the ass later on, folks. Okay. When you keep pointing fingers about people with privilege and all this good stuff, you tend to forget that when you point a finger at somebody, you got three more of them pointing back at you. So sort out your closet in your backyard and your room first before you're worrying about what's going in my room. You know what I mean? Something to think about, right? Yeah. And I don't have the answers. How we're going to solve this regional schooling problem. I've had a few people weigh in and ask me, oh, what's your policy on this as a VCP member? And I believe in looking after Native rights, period. First Nation rights are just as important as your rights or my rights. The 94 points of reconciliation are substantial, right? But when it comes to recognizing land in this country, I recognize it as one name. Now, you can call me what you want. You can send me all the hate mail you want if I say this. But when I recognize the land in this country, it's got one name. Canada. That's it. I recognize that maybe a tribe lived here, or a tribe lives here, or a group live here, or a group live there. That's fine. But I am not going to cater into the PC mandate and the madness, the sheer fucking madness of pronunciations all the time. Okay? I will honor and respect your history just as much as you honor and respect others' history too. Okay? That's simple. But I live in Alberta, which is a province in Canada. Okay? Sorry. I'm sorry if you don't like that. Okay? But telling people what to think and what to do all the time to recognize this and recognize that makes you no better than the tyrants you're claiming us to be. You see what I'm getting at here? I recognize Canada. That's what I recognize. Because I fought for this country. I fought for this country. And yeah, I'm going to still brag about it to my last fucking breath. Why? Because I can, because I did it. And I'll keep fighting. Okay? I don't buy this whole who's black or who's white or who's pink or who's brown or who's this or who's that. I look at Canadian people as people. People who happen to be from this or happen to be from that, who happen to be part of this or part of that. That's great. Okay? I acknowledge the vast amounts of languages and cultures and traditions that have come from the First Nations people, not just in Canada, but in the United States and in Mexico too. Okay. I also encourage every First Nation member to speak your language, speak it proudly, to stand by your drawing, stand by your art, stand by your song, stand by your stories, stand by your elders. I encourage that highly. Do it. I'm not going to stop you. I don't want to stop you. Why would I want to stop you from doing that? Speak whatever language you want. Dance any way you want. Do what you want. I respect your rights. Do you respect mine? That's the thing, right? No more colors. No more. No more. Enough of the colors. Enough of the division. Enough of recognizing this and having to recognize that. Recognize yourself, right? Be the individual. Make decisions for yourself on what's good for you. That's what it comes down to too. Just don't hit people and take their stuff. It's that simple, folks, right? But somewhere we keep losing that. We keep losing that insight and that common platitude. Okay. Anyway, folks, if you get a chance to, please check out my shop, customizedgirl.com. Right, you'll see the address rolling on the screen there. Check out t-shirts. I got hats, got buttons. I got shorts. I got swimsuits for the ladies. I've got tank tops. All that good, crazy, crusty Canuck stuff there. Get your crusty Canuck swagger today at customizedgirl.com /s/crusty Canuck. Get some fancy swagger today. It's summertime. It's getting hot out, so give your wife that Inner Bay watch by giving her a Crusty Canuck swimsuit. Yeah, sales pitch there. Anyway, carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, the burning part 2. So election might be coming up. We'll see. But in the meantime, stay hydrated. You know, it is a scorcher. I'm looking at the weather report right now. It's now 33 Celsius instead of a balmy 35, as I mentioned earlier. Still, do what you can, folks. Stay hydrated. Look after your plants. Look after your pets. Don't keep them out too long because of this fucking scorching heat. But still, you know, I'd rather have this heat than minus 50 any day. I know I've complained about the heat. And I'm hearing a lot of my other friends complain about the heat too. But I ask them, would you rather have it be minus 50? Hey, I can handle this heat more than I can handle the fucking cold any day. Because I'm getting sick and tired of the cold. But that's life. And what gets me too is how Miss McKenna bragged about the carbon tax being a savior when it comes to fighting the weather. And what's the excuse now with all this heat? My friends in BC, what do you say about the carbon tax now, eh? Real good thing, eh? Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to end this on a good note, folks. Like I said, it's the 29th of June, 2021. I know the heat is there. However, go out and have some fun. Take a swim. Take your kids out. Take the dogs out. Go for a nice little walk. Don't forget to hydrate. Get some sun. Get some overdue vitamin D in your skin. Not too long, though. Don't want you to burn. Like I say, if you're going to water your plants, water the base of your plants, though, too, and make sure they got enough to drink. And just do what you can to keep your wits about you, too. I know things are going to open up here in the next couple of days. Hopefully, there'll be more leniency on the mask bullshit. And maybe we'll find some better answers and some better data when it comes to fighting this evil beer bug. But let's not worry about the beer bug, and let's not worry anymore about division. Let's worry about each other. Let's watch each other's backs and do what we can to help each other the best of our abilities. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, you know, do what you can to help your friends out. Do what you can to help your neighbors out. Look after your friends and loved ones. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you this Sunday on Sunday Fastball. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama always said I had a face for radio.